Hello, and thank you for joining the talk today. Today, Rachel Brown Kirkland, the editor of Dalton Living Magazine, is back to discuss the wedding issue, which is currently on stands now and online. It includes Connie's own story of her handful of really amazing and unique Airbnbs. But first, myself and Connie are going to dive into the new Lifetime television documentary of the life and murder of Nicole Brown Simpson. This took place 30 years ago this month. Nicole Brown was brutally murdered in a horrible way in her Brentwood, California home alongside her friend Ron Goldman. Many people believe that Nicole's ex, legendary football player OJ Simpson, literally got away with murder, just like he had told Nicole that he would. So Connie and I are going to talk about it and share some of our own thoughts on the matter right after this short break. So don't go anywhere, stay tuned, we're going to dive in.
Welcome back to The Talk. I'm here with Andrea Nicole. Hello, Andrea.
Hey, Connie. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming back to have some chat with me.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here.
Well, this is an interesting topic, at least to me. I imagine you don't remember where you were during the Bronco chase of OJ Simpson because you were just a kid, right?
I was about 9 years old, and I remember I was in like the 3rd grade, and I remember my mom and my aunt gossiping about it, and I was just kind of like, why can't we watch cartoons?
Right.
Why are we watching this Bronco in the news again?
Yeah, it's interesting to me that it's one of those cases that it's like, where were you when that happened? And I was dating who would end up being my husband later, and I was ready to go. We were at his house, and we were just coming through, and he's like, wait, what is, and his dad was there because, he was still living at home. We were young, and I was like, who's OJ Simpson? Who cares? Who's OJ Simpson? And then I remembered who he was when I saw pictures of him, that not from a football player, but from being on The Naked Gun and those shows. Yeah. But I guess it was kind of surreal. I didn't really get invested until years later, well after the trial. Pardon me, I like true crime. And so I started reading the books, and every time I get into something, whatever the topic is, I read and find out every single thing I can about it.
Get all the details, go down all the rabbit holes.
You're kind of like that too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about a topic that maybe a next story soon. We'll have to see how that pans out. Yeah. So this is the 30-year anniversary of when Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson were murdered brutally, horrifically, by who I believe, and many believe, is OJ Simpson.
I can't agree with you more. I definitely think it was him.
So there is a new documentary that just came out. It is with Nicole's 3 sisters, and it talks about basically Nicole. It's trying to give a picture of who Nicole was from her own voice. Did you get to watch it yet? I know
Not yet.
It's just out, literally a few days out. And it talks, it shows a lot of home videos that haven't been seen yet, and it talks about some of the experiences that the sisters, and also actually 50 people were involved who I don't know that they were all on scene, but they, gave their feedback and all that. I can't say that I learned a whole lot of new stuff because, like I said, I'm rabid when it comes to something I'm interested in. I've read, I've listened to the podcasts, the documentaries, but I think it's a lot of things that most people won't be aware of. For example, she kept a diary. She kept it in her safety deposit box, and she documented some 60 incidents where he beat her, and there were pictures, there were, details and dates and all of that. So what do you think about that?
That's very interesting, and, her already being a victim, and then, I think the boyfriend just kind of was the tip of what just made him flip out and finally take it too far. Yes.
If indeed Goldman was a boyfriend.
If he was.
But I mean,
he was handsome, so I think it was enough
really
to make him jealous.
Yeah, I think, and he had told her, he had said to someone, maybe her, I can't recall now at this point, but that if he ever saw her with someone, and he had already seen her with multiple people, but this was shortly before that, then he would kill her. In fact, he told her several times, I'm going to kill you, and I'll get away with it because I'm OJ Simpson.
And that's scary. That's very narcissistic, very scary.
But he did.
And he
did get away with it.
Exactly.
it still blows my mind. I know there were a lot of things going on in society at the time, some changes that impacted, but DNA was new because there was a mountain of DNA evidence that put him at the crime, and then both blood back and other things at just all of the stuff that today he probably wouldn't have gotten away with it.
No, today I think there would have been enough forensic, enough people would have said, you know what, hey, the evidence is here. And it's something I found really interesting. I don't know if you knew this too, but when they went back and interviewed some of the jurors, they said, was this revenge for
the Rodney King?
Yeah. And, the juror just kind of said, well, and it was like, oh, wow.
And that happens sometimes because we're human and we let our emotions get involved. And I will say that I think that the LAPD, I think they're shady. I mean,
they're on somebody's payroll.
A lot. Maybe things are different now, but certainly at that time with Mark Furman and all the mistakes he made, pardon me, and others, it's like,
it's like how?
I would be mad. I think I would be mad. I would be mad if I was on the other side and all those things were happening. But at the same time, you have two people who lost their lives. And that's not a time that would be good.
And you had kids that lost their mother.
Andrea, one of the things that bothers me most about this case is OJ and Nicole shared two children when they were young. They had been earlier that night, both he and her, at the recital. And a lot of people believe that he got angry because he wasn't invited back to a restaurant called Mezzaluna in LA. And apparently he was driving back and forth even that night when they were there. And she's like, well, it's just him again. He always does this. And it was known with her friends. But okay, so later, whatever happens, those two kids are upstairs asleep. And someone is viciously killing the mom. I mean,
with the kids downstairs.
Well, I think they were upstairs in their bed.
Upstairs.
Yeah, but
they were downstairs.
But the point is, what if they woke up?
Exactly.
And if it went another way, what if one of them had found their mother nearly decapitated with her friend in a huge puddle of blood?
It's sick. It's sick.
It's disgusting. And it's like, if he did it, which is the name of a book he wrote, If I Did It.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which, chapter 6 kind of details that whole night in like what happened. And speaking of that, I've been listening to a whistleblower with the LAPD who says that a guy named Charlie did it. And he names his last name. Forgive me, I don't recall what that was. This is fresh for me. But Charlie was there. Charlie participated. Charlie was a mafia type member. He was he sold drugs. And Nicole, Faye Resnick, and the whole little group there owed money. So they were leaning on OJ. He showed up that night unexpectedly at Rockingham, OJ's estate.
Right.
They ride over to Nicole's and things get out of, kind of go crazy with Ron, like you said, being there. And he was really cute. Super
he was
cute.
very handsome.
Yeah. And, so apparently there's this guy named Charlie, and this whistleblower's naming his last name, and, it's kind of known. Oh, he was one of the guys that got arrested with OJ in Vegas, and there were two one Charlie or Charles, whatever, there, and it was him. So he had not, apparently they broke contact for a while, but then come back together, and we're still doing dastardly deeds. Yeah.
Wow. And you don't keep in contact with somebody like that unless you've got something on them or they've got something on you, and it's just kind of like, hey, just checking in, buddy. We're still on the same page.
You pretty much got them because either they do what you say, or it could go really bad.
Ooh.
I have one of my best friends from high school, Shelly. We made this sound, I shouldn't be telling this, but we made a pact, I always do that, but we made a pact like in high school and shortly after, hey, if we ever kill anybody, whether we're together or we're miles apart or whatever, we're in this together.
Yeah.
So we took a period of time that we weren't together. We were kind of like the two that people didn't want to be with at the same time, because we brought out the worst in each other in a fairly nice way. But we talked again, and I was like, do you remember that pact we made? She was like, yeah, I know. Have you killed anybody yet? Of course I would never do that.
No, never.
Never.
And if so, just write a book 20 years later.
Yeah, true. No, but seriously, murder's horrible. Murder is sad.
It's really
it's
bad.
horrible. Taking a life is. I mean, we can joke about it, but the truth is, wow.
How sad to leave 2 kids without their mother. I couldn't even imagine. I mean, that's what gets me is the kids.
Me too.
But what's really interesting is that before he died, because OJ just died, he made his 2 youngest, the 2 he has with Nicole, sign an NDA if they wanted their inheritance.
Justin and Sydney.
And what was really interesting is the executor of his estate was his attorney.
Wow.
Not one of the kids.
Okay, that is interesting. Well, I would love to know what they know, but the truth is we probably never will.
No.
And I am sad for Nicole's family.
Very sad.
Yeah, and so sad for Ron's family. He was, maybe 26 or something like that.
He was very young, and what's interesting is if OJ didn't do it, then why did Ron's family win the wrongful death?
Yeah, they, as well as the Browns, they did. They won a wrongful death. Let me see. He was acquitted in '97. I don't remember what year that was, but they were awarded $33.5 million, which of course they never got.
That was something else that was said with the attorney. He said, they probably won't ever get that. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, there's ways to get out of paying, I suppose. Well, we could talk about this all day because we like to talk.
Yeah.
But it's time for us to go, so watch the movie. It is called The Life and Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson, and you can watch it on Lifetime. I'll be right back. Welcome back to The Talk. I'm here with Rachel Brown Kirkland, the editor of Dalton Living Magazine. Hi, Rachel. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on today.
I love it when we come on and talk about Dalton Living. And this issue is the wedding issue.
It is the wedding issue. So on the front, we have food, music, and trends. We tried to theme the whole magazine about weddings. So we featured several local couples, things about different weddings, and some cool ideas to try if you are planning a wedding or know someone who is.
And it's the time to do it. You know, last year I wrote an article about me and my daughter and her wedding experience. So it has been a year as of May 6th that she and Hunter have been together. And it was so fun to have our experience here in your magazine. And I know that I enjoyed looking at all the people's stories in here. One stuck out to me, and that's the one about pets. People who, tell us about that.
Okay, so we wanted to do something a little bit different in this issue. So I asked one of the writers who has written for the magazine a long time, do you have any stories about pets that you could do? And she's also a local photographer. So she pulled something from a turtle that was like a ring bearer at the wedding. She talked to that couple. And then my sister and brother-in-law are also in the magazine. They had their dog at their wedding. So just a lot of fun, quirky ways to incorporate your pet.
That's so sweet. It is so sweet. I don't know that I would have, if I were to get married again, if I would include my dogs, because I don't know if they could. Well, number one, my 2 littles are mean. They couldn't come because of that, so never mind. But Lexi thought about, they have a Labradoodle, and up until close to time, they were going to have him in it, and then it was like, became too much. So I think it's pretty amazing when you take the time and you can incorporate your babies in there.
And one of the things I like that the writer Misty Watson did with this article was that she gave little tips for how to include your pet in your wedding.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have a pet that's not super social, you could still include them in, the photo session.
Yeah.
Or, if like being around people is more their thing, have the turtle go down the ring bearer. There's all sorts of different ways.
Right?
Yes. So I love that. Yeah.
I can't wait to read it. I told you that I usually have read it before you come on. I've glanced through it. It's like, this is going to be a fun read once I take a sec and sit down and read it. Let me see what else is in there. Well, Misty Watson, I love gnocchi. So that recipe, she usually does a recipe every month, and that looked really tasty.
Yeah, so her eclectic kitchen recipe,
Mm-hmm.
crispy gnocchi. She inspired me, so I tried my own version of it. It was good, but I cheated. I bought the store-bought kind, and I just put it in the oven, but it was amazing.
I didn't know there was any other kind.
I mean,
So she's doing it from scratch, huh?
Well, some of it she does from scratch, but I bought actually a kind in the refrigerated section that says it's specifically for crispy gnocchi.
Oh, see, I like crispy the best. Hamilton's here in Dalton has a really great gnocchi. Let's see, what else do we have in here?
So we do have lots of fun couples in there. I love our cover.
I do
think
too.
I just love that picture. But we have several couples who are sharing their stories in there. So yeah, that's a fun one to check out.
That is fun, and I'll tell you, you assigned me an article, which was Airbnbs that are interesting, and at first I wasn't sure how hard it would be to find. We had one in Dalton that's really unique, but they opted out for their own reasons, and then I found Fable Realm in Ringgold.
Yes.
Did you know about Fable Realm before?
I did not. I'm so glad you found that. These are, talk more about them. They're so cool.
Well, Fable Realm is a place in Chickamauga, close to the battlefield, that has, I think, about 7 specialty places, and they have this whole map that you can stay at different ones, and you can do like a scavenger hunt thing if you can stay here and find clues and then whatever, go around. God, they have a fairy tale one complete with a troll bridge. They have animals around. They have, what else do they have? Harry Potter things.
Yes.
Yeah, and then there's one that's like Goonies and James Bond. Oh my gosh, I love Goonies. Have you seen the Goonies? Have you watched the Goonies?
I have not. So now
Okay.
you've given me an assignment.
Well, you have kids. Yeah, the roles are reversed. You have kids, and it's just a really good movie. They are going to be making one, or opening, I guess, one soon that is about anime. And so I thought, my son's like anime, especially Adam, and I thought this would be a cute little gift for him, and one for Aaron too, because twins. Andrea's here, and she's going to come on later. And twins, if you do one for one twin, you have to do it for the other. So, but then I have a daughter, so I guess there's 3. Anyway, that was such a fun story. And then over in Ringgold, in Ringgold, they have a tree house, and I'm not talking about a little version of a tree house. It's elaborate, and they have a location that reminds me of Sedona with the waterfalls and kind of the Arizona vibe. So yeah, that sounds like fun. You and I were talking about how it would be fun just for like a little weekend getaway.
You don't have to go far. It's right here in town, but yet it doesn't feel like you're just doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, the photo ops. If you're into taking pics, that's the place to go. I do want to mention your story on Randall Franks. So who is Randall Franks? I know, but tell everyone else that might not know who Randall is.
So Randall is such a fun individual to get to know. He is a bluegrass artist. He is an actor, very involved in the community in Ringgold and Tunnel Hill. So we did a fun Q&A with him. I had the privilege to work with Randall many years ago at Catoosa County News and have kept up with him over the years. So just a very fun Q&A just about his musical background, his acting background. A lot of fun to do.
And he was in The Heat of the Night, correct?
He was Officer Randy Good.
I sort of remember that. Back when I was at the Daily Citizen in the mid to late, well, let's just say the mid. I think I left there in 96, but everyone was talking about, I remember things would come in, it's like, hey, there's this guy, he's on Heat of the Night, and he was just kind of like a local celeb.
Oh, yes. And
he still
has
is.
several books out, like on his website. I can't remember the name of his website, but if you Google it, you can find it.
Yeah.
But he has several books about his experiences in the entertainment industry.
That is so cool. I talked to him on the phone once, and he seemed like a really cool, nice guy.
He is.
A guy who works here, Shane Franks, that's his uncle.
Okay.
So
yes.
he was like, I was going to see if he could be in our Christmas special last year, but he was going to be out of town or something like that. And he was like, oh, come in and do something else. And it was like, well, you're so musical. Yeah, we need to make that happen.
Oh, and you know what? He played at our wedding.
What?
Marty's wedding. Yes, he played the fiddle at our wedding. So
Sweet.
that was a lot of fun.
Well, that fits right into the wedding issue. Is there anything else in here we didn't mention that's noteworthy? There'll be little surprises in here that we haven't mentioned. But this is a really good issue, and
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
looking
you for your article in it.
Well, thank you. I love doing it. You know, I love to write. Speaking of writing, Rachel, this is your last issue as editor.
It is my last issue. So I've worked on the magazine for 6 years. I'm a freelance writer and editor,
Yes.
and so I'm moving on to other projects, and just really enjoyed this.
Sure, and as creatives, we do that. We pursue the other things. It's bittersweet. I've loved working with you, and I've loved what you've put out, and I can't wait to see what you come up with next.
Well, thank you. I've loved working with you too.
Thank you. So you also speak. Weren't you at the writers, the Cartersville Writers, area writers?
I was not at that one. Some
okay.
of my friends
Okay, scratch
were.
that. Yeah. But you go there sometimes, right?
I have not, actually.
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
2 boys
Okay.
have been keeping me busy.
I gotcha. I remember those days. Well, she could speak if she wanted to, because she's very knowledgeable
well,
about
thank
this,
you.
about writing and editing and the whole thing. Thank you for coming in and talking about Dalton Living today.
Thank you.
And we'll be keeping up with Rachel, and I'll be right back.
Thanks again for joining the talk today. Big shout out to today's guests, Rachel Brown Kirkland of Dalton Living Magazine, and myself, Andrea Nicole. We invite all of you to join Connie's Ghost Tour. It's a 90-minute tour that explores Dalton, Georgia's legendary past and haunted present. This month, Connie is offering a Spooky Daddy Walk, which takes place this Friday and Saturday, June 14th and 15th at 8 p.m. In honor of Father's Day, all dads get to attend free of charge. Then the following week, Friday and Saturday, June 21st and 22nd, come out for her full moon experience. For more information on this, visit Dalton Ghost Tours on Facebook and Instagram. While you're there, go ahead and subscribe and like the Talk with Connie. You can watch past episodes, current episodes on her YouTube channel. Be sure that you subscribe to help her grow. Until next time, be blessed.